3 Weeks Rewrite by KJ GROWLING. Chapter 7. December 7th, 3 miles, the hostel, Steven. Day 7, the move, the meeting. From KJ GROWLING's private notebook. There is a specific quality to the decision to leave a place you have made safe. Not the drama of it, the physics of it. You have spent 6 days building something, the locks, the barricade, the inventory, the careful management of every variable you can manage, and the building of it has become its own kind of anchor. The safety is real, but the attachment to the safety is also real. And distinguishing between the two, between the genuine tactical value of staying and the psychological pull of the known, requires a clarity that 6 days of reduced sleep and reduced food, and the constant low-level work of being afraid without showing it makes more difficult than it sounds. Mac made the assessment. He said, "We move." He said it the way he said everything, directly, without preamble, as though the time between thinking something and saying it was a variable he had reduced to its minimum. The assessment was correct. I picked up my pack. 06:47 a.m. Nigel, before the move. Nigel came on at 6:47. The presenter, the young one now, the third one, settling into the role with the specific quiet authority of someone who has been given something larger than they expected and has decided to grow into it. Delivered the morning update in the steady voice of a person who has made a private decision about what broadcasting is for and is delivering on that decision regardless of what it costs. Good morning. Day 7 of the HIV-1 pandemic. Confirmed UK cases now stand at 47,000. We want to acknowledge immediately that this number represents confirmed cases and that the actual number of affected individuals is significantly higher. The government has declared a national state of emergency. All civilian movement is prohibited except for emergency purposes. We are broadcasting this morning's survival guidance compiled by KJ GROWLING via the Farlink Eggs network. We are grateful for this contribution and encourage all citizens to read and share it. To those of you who are alone this morning, you are not alone. We are here. Keep listening. I looked at Nigel. "Thank you," I said. Mac appeared in the kitchen doorway. He had been up since 4. Of course he had. He had his pack on. Service pistol checked and holstered. I had learned not to comment on the pistol, not because it made me uncomfortable, but because commenting on it felt like commenting on the weather, a thing simply present in the environment that required no acknowledgement. His boots were laced with the particular precision of someone who had been lacing boots in serious situations for 20 years and had developed opinions about the correct tension. He had 2 mugs of tea. He put one in front of me. "Ready," he said. Not a question. I looked at the study, the desk, Nigel in his permanent spot between the Bogwarts acceptance letter and the single malt. The first edition Harry Potter on the wall. Professor Sprout on the chair, watching me with the mild disapproval of a cat who has decided that departure is a personal affront. "I'm taking you to Gerald's," I told Professor Sprout. "You'll have a barn, you'll be insufferable about it." Professor Sprout looked at me. "I know," I said. "It's not ideal." I picked up my pack. I picked up Nigel. Mac looked at Nigel. "Necessary," I said. "I didn't say anything," Mac said. "You were thinking it." "I was thinking we should move before the light gets better and the noise risk increases," he said. And a pause. "And Nigel is necessary," he said. We moved. 10:03 a.m., the 3 miles. I have written about this journey before in an earlier version of this account, and I want to rewrite it properly now, because the earlier version moved too fast, and the 3 miles deserves its full weight. 3 miles through day 7 South London. I want to tell you what it looked like, what it smelled like, what it cost. What it looked like. London, without people, is not the London of science fiction. It is not dramatic. It is not the cinematic ruin of post-apocalyptic imagination. The cracked roads, the overturned vehicles, the ivy already beginning its reclamation. It is simply London, with people removed. The buildings standing exactly as they stood on November 30th. The shops with their signs still lit, some of them, the ones with battery backup, the pharmacy on the Kennington Road with its green cross still blinking in the day 7 morning, as though the world had not radically revised the meaning of what a pharmacy was for. The bus stops with their timetables still posted, the specific optimism of a printed timetable in a world where no bus was coming. And between the buildings, in the streets, at the corners, in the doorways and alleys, and the long, straight residential roads that go on for a mile without a bend. The wrong things. An abandoned pram on the pavement outside a Tesco Express, not fallen over, parked, as though someone had meant to come back for it. A front door open, not broken, not forced, simply open, swinging slightly in the December wind with the specific abandonment of a thing left in a hurry. 3 cars at a junction, all facing the same direction, all empty, all with their doors closed. A convoy that had simply stopped, gotten out, gone somewhere else. And the changed ones. We saw 7 in the 3 miles, all subtype 1, all moving in the specific patterns I had been documenting for 6 days. The stillness, the listening, the sound-triggered burst toward whatever had disturbed the quiet. We avoided all 7. Walls, 30-second pauses at corners, the low, deliberate pace of things that belonged in the environment and were not announcing their presence. Mac moved like he had been born knowing how to move through places that were listening. I moved like someone who had been writing about people who knew how to move through places that were listening for 30 years and was discovering that the research had been useful after all. What it smelled like. Cold air. Smoke from somewhere, not close, not recent. The residual ghost of something that had burned on day 4 or 5 and was now simply a smell in the air, a fact of the new atmosphere. Damp brick, December. And once, outside a house on Camberwell New Road, the door slightly ajar, the warmth of the interior reaching the street in a specific way, cooking. Someone was cooking. Mac and I both stopped at the same moment. We looked at each other. The smell was unmistakable, onions, something savory, the specific domestic warmth of a kitchen in use. Someone was in that house. Someone was cooking in that house on day 7 of a pandemic. Mac looked at the door. He looked at me. He looked at the changed one we had passed 40 yards back, still in its listening stillness at the junction. He looked at the door again. He knocked. 3 times, measured. A long silence. Then a voice, female, older, immediately suspicious in the specific way of someone who has been alone and frightened for 6 days and has not expected anyone to knock. "Who's there?" "My name is Mac," Mac said. "I'm not infected. I'm not here for your food or your supplies. I'm going to give you a Farlink address and I'm going to ask you to stay where you are and stay quiet and keep cooking. The smell, keep the smell low if you can. It won't attract the changed ones, but it might attract other people, and not all other people are like me." A pause. "How do I know you're not like the others?" the voice said. "You don't," Mac said, "but I knocked." A silence. "The others didn't knock," the voice said. Something cold moved through me at that. "The others didn't knock." "Farlink address," Mac said. "At KJ GROWLING, read the thread, follow the survival guidance. Stay where you are, you're doing the right thing." He stepped back from the door. We kept moving. I thought about the others didn't knock for the next 6 blocks. I wrote it in my notebook while walking, which is something I had trained myself to do in 1998 during the writing of Book 2, and which remained one of the more useful skills of my career. The others didn't knock. I thought about the arc of sightings in my notebook. The man with the scar. Moving. The others. Plural. He had people with him. He had been here. The estate behind Kennington. My shortcut. I had walked this path 100 times. The cut-through between 2 blocks of flats. A narrow pedestrian route that came out 2 streets closer to the hostel, that I had first found in 2003, researching a chapter about a character who needed to move through South London without being seen. I had written that research into a fictional character. I was now using it for myself. Mac assessed the entrance to the path. "Width," he said. 4 feet approximately, I said, covered at the center by the overhang between the 2 blocks. "Exit visible from entrance." "Yes." "Length." 60 yards. He looked at it. "You go first," he said. "I follow. If something is in there, I need to be behind you, not in front." "Why?" "Because you know the exit route, and I don't. And if we need to move fast, I need you going the right direction without waiting for me to lead." The logic was immediate and inarguable. I went first. Halfway through the path, I heard it. Above us, 2 floors up, left building. The specific movement of a changed one navigating a space without the cognitive map of that space. The slow, effortful sound of a body encountering furniture, walls, thresholds, with the specific confusion of something that has lost its geography, but not its momentum. I stopped. Max stopped behind me. The sound moved north side of the flat, then east, then a stillness. Then the almost sound, the human not human frequency, close enough that I felt it in my chest before I heard it with my ears. I looked at the wall. The wall was between me and that sound. I thought about what was on the other side of that wall. I thought about Mrs. Patel on her hallway floor. I thought, this is not her. This was never her. This is the virus using what was someone, and the someone is somewhere else entirely, and I am not going to stand in this path and grieve for a shape. I breathed. 4 minutes and 20 seconds. I counted. Mac was a presence behind me. I could feel his stillness the way you feel the stillness of something very controlled, the specific quality of a body that has made a complete peace with the requirement to be motionless. He did not shift his weight. He did not adjust his grip on the pistol. He simply was still, with the totality of someone who had practiced this specific skill in places that did not allow for imperfection. The sound above us moved west. Quieted. Gone. Mac's hand touched my shoulder once, brief, light, the specific touch of a signal rather than comfort, though in that moment it was also comfort. Move. I moved. We came out the other side. The exit street was empty. We kept going. 11:47 a.m., the hostel, green door. The hostel was as I'd imagined it from his posts, and not as I'd imagined it from his posts, which is how real places always are. I had built it from the thread, the common room with its television, the kitchen, the corridor where he'd sat during the second watch with Clarkson beside him, and the building I was looking at contained all of those things and was also simply a building. Concrete. 4 floors. Green door slightly scuffed at the lower corner. The windows on the ground floor covered from the inside, not professionally, improvised, the specific practical creativity of someone working with what a hostel had to offer. Cardboard, a folded ironing board, what appeared to be a rolled yoga mat. Mac assessed the street. I looked at the ground floor window. In the gap between the yoga mat and the window frame, an eye. Then a face. Pulling back. The gap emptying. Then footsteps inside, careful, quiet, moving toward the door with the specific deliberate pace of someone who had learned how to move without making noise and was applying the lesson. The door opened before I could knock. Steven Vox. I want to describe meeting Steven Vox properly, because I have been building him in my head for 6 days from posts and replies, and the specific texture of how he wrote, and I want to be honest about the gap between the person I had assembled and the person standing in the doorway. He was taller than I'd thought. Dark eyes, the specific warm dark of someone whose face does a great deal of its communicating through the eyes rather than the mouth. There was a quality of attention in them that I recognized immediately because I spend my professional life looking for it and finding it rarely. The attention of someone who is genuinely present in whatever moment they are occupying rather than managing their presentation of presence. He was wearing 3 layers, practical boots, A jacket that was from Cape Town and insufficient for December in London, and which he had not replaced because replacing it had not been a priority, and because there was something in the wearing of an insufficient jacket that was, I suspected, a form of not fully admitting to the permanence of being here in this specific set of circumstances. He had Clarkson, the cricket bat, named after a man he had crossed an ocean to find, now serving as a weapon in a pandemic, was in his right hand, held with the easy familiarity of something that had become an extension of the body over 6 days. He looked at me. He looked at Mac. He looked at Clarkson in his own hand, and then at Severus visible in my coat, and seemed to make a private assessment of the symmetry. "You're KJ Growling," he said. "Yes," I said. "My mum cried at the end of The Deathly Shadows," he said. "Like properly cried. I thought she was being dramatic. Then I read it when I was 16, and I didn't leave my room for a day." "Good," I said. "That's exactly what it was supposed to do." He looked at me for one more second. Then he stood aside. "Come in," he said. "I made rice. It's got truffle oil in it." I looked at him. "I knew," he said. "I knew when you said save the truffle oil that the moment would come before I expected it." Mac was already inside, assessing the building. I stood in the doorway of the hostel, near Elephant, and Castle on day 7 of a pandemic with a fire poker in my coat and a radio under my arm, and I thought, there he is. 6 days of posts and replies, and the satellite network carrying his voice across the dark. There he actually is. He saved the truffle oil. 1:00 p.m., the hostel kitchen, the 3. Rice with truffle oil. I want to document this meal because it was the best thing I had eaten in 7 days, and because the truffle oil, in a hostel kitchen in South London on day 7 of a pandemic, did exactly what truffle oil does, which is make something simple taste like a decision rather than a circumstance. Mac ate his portion in 30 seconds. Did not comment. Ate the second serving Steven put in front of him, without being asked. This was, from Mac, the equivalent of a standing ovation. "The building," Mac said, between the first and second serving. "Ground floor covered," Steven said. "I know. I did the ironing board. I wasn't sure about the yoga mat, but it fills the gap at the south end." "It's adequate," Mac said. "Generator in the basement, diesel. Half a tank. I've been conservative. Water. Every container in the kitchen. Hot water tank isolated from the mains. It went on day 5. 80 liters in the tank, clean." Mac looked at him. "You isolated the hot water tank," he said. "Cape Town," Steven said. "Load shedding, you learn the infrastructure." Mac looked at him for a moment with the expression he wore when someone had said something he was adding to a mental assessment. "Right," he said. He finished the second serving. "We're moving on," he said. "Today the 3 of us, west." "We're west," Steven said. Mac looked at me. I looked at Steven. "There's a farm," I said. 2:30 p.m. before we left, the thread. Steven packed in 11 minutes. I watched him do it with the focused efficiency of someone who had been mentally packing since day 3 and had simply been waiting for the moment to make it physical. Every item placed with the consideration of someone who had calculated weight against necessity and arrived at decisions he was not revisiting. Guitar case in the corner. He stood in front of it. He put his hand on it. He didn't open it. "We'll come back," I said. "Yeah," he said. He picked up his pack. He didn't look at the guitar case again. That was how I knew how much it cost him. Mac had found a route on the AZ, the same route I had planned, and he had improved with the specific modifications of someone who had walked those streets in the previous 20 hours and had updated the map in his head against the reality. Before we left, I posted, "At KJ Growling 2, 47 p.m. We are 3 now. Moving. I'm not going to say where. I'm going to say, it is possible to move through this city. It requires patience and quiet and the willingness to stop completely at every corner, and listen for 30 seconds before continuing. It requires moving like the city is listening. Because it is. But it is possible. We moved 3 miles this morning. We are moving further this afternoon. If you are thinking about whether to move toward someone, toward a specific person, a specific place, this is what I know. The light is your friend. The walls are your friend. The silence is your weapon. The person you are moving toward is worth the 3 miles. They are always worth the 3 miles. Stay alive. KJ. Egg 389, M speech, balloon 267 M. At Steven Vox Hot Gear replying to at KJ GROWLING, 2:49 p.m. Moving. Left something behind. Taking everything that matters. Including the truffle oil. Just in case. Egg 7.8 M speech balloon 3.4 M. We moved. 4:15 p.m. What appeared in the thread while we moved? I was not posting while we moved. Moving required full attention. Max 30-second pauses at corners. The walls, the specific choreography of 3 people moving through hostile urban terrain with the minimum necessary noise. But Farlink was running. The thread was running without me. By the time we reached the university building where Stacy and Sarah were, and I am going to document that meeting in the next chapter as it deserves, my phone showed 47 new thread replies that had come in during the 2 hours we were moving. Most of them were the usual survival updates, observations, names, the ongoing distributed intelligence of hundreds of people watching and documenting and feeding back. But reply 43 stopped me. At Anonymous Berkshire 4:02 p.m. I don't have an eggs account. My daughter made me one today to send this. I'm a retired police officer, 30 years, Thames Valley. I know criminals. I know what the serious ones look like. The man with the scar your thread has been documenting. I've seen him 4 times now. Once in reading on day 3. Once on the A4 moving west on day 5. Once in Hungerford on day 6. And once today. On the A338. Moving south. He had 9 people with him today. Not 12. 9. I know what that means. 3 people didn't cooperate. I don't know what happened to those 3 people. I have a reasonable professional assessment. He is building something. He knows exactly what he is doing. He has been doing it his whole life. He is reading your thread. Be careful what you tell him. Egg 22M speech balloon 14M. I read this 3 times. I showed it to Mac. Mac read it once. He handed the phone back. He said nothing for a moment. Then, how many people know our destination? Nobody specific, I said. I've said west, I haven't said the farm. Keep it that way, he said. He's mapping the changed ones, I said. The sightings, he's been watching them, documenting them. He's been using the thread to build his own understanding of stage 4. Yes, Mac said. Which means he knows what I know. He knows what you've posted, Mac said. There's a difference. I thought about that. What don't I post? I said. Location specifics, Mac said. Exact routes, the farm name, Gerald's name, anything that builds a map someone else can follow. I thought about everything I had posted in 7 days. I thought about the corner shop, the post box, the street name mentioned in passing. I thought he already knows where I've been. I thought I need to be more careful about where I'm going. I picked up my phone. I posted one thing. At KJ GROWLING 4:34 p.m. To the thread. I'm going to ask everyone, including myself, to be more careful about location specifics going forward. Not because I'm afraid. Because someone is reading this who should not have a map. You know who you are. And now you know that I know. The thread continues. The truth continues. But the map stops here. KJ. Egg 267, M speech balloon, 189 M. Steven read the post over my shoulder. He looked at me. The scar, he said. Yes, I said. He looked at the road ahead. How close, he said. The A338, I said. Today. He thought about this. Where does the A338 go? He said. Mac answered, without looking up from the AZ. West, he said. Same direction we're going. A silence. Right, Steven said. He adjusted Clarkson on his back. We kept moving. 6:30 p.m., the university building, the blue door. I am going to document the meeting with Stacy and Sarah in the next chapter, because it deserves its own space. What I will say here at the end of chapter 7 is this. When the blue door opened, and Stacy Harlow stood in the doorway with her glasses slightly wrong on her face, and her voice doing the work of someone who had been waiting for this for 4 days, and was managing the relief of it with the specific Birmingham practicality of a person who has decided that falling apart is not on the schedule. I understood something about what the thread had been building toward that I had not fully understood while I was building it. Not just information. Not just survival guidance. People finding each other. The specific human insistence, against everything the world was doing to prevent it, on not being alone. You're real, Stacy said. Thoroughly, I said. And him, she looked at Mac. Former Army, I said. And him, she looked at Steven. Cape Town, Steven said. I have a cricket bat. Stacy looked at Clarkson. Named Clarkson, he added. Something happened in Stacy's face. The 10-foot pole she'd been using to keep the weight of everything at a manageable distance wobbled. Not breaking. Just wobbling. The way things wobble when something good arrives unexpectedly. Right, she said. Come in then, Sarah's going to want to talk to you. She looked at the 3 of us on the doorstep. I have chocolate digestives, she said. I found them behind the vending machine, don't ask. Mac looked at her. How, he said. Architecture, she said. I see gaps. Mac looked at her for a moment. Then he went inside. I watched him go. I looked at Steven. Steven looked at me. I think he liked her, he said quietly. Mac doesn't like people, I said. Mac just asked how, Steven said. That's the Mac equivalent of a standing ovation. I thought about this. You've known him for 4 hours, I said. He ate 2 servings of my rice, Steven said. I know everything I need to know. We went inside. At KJ GROWLING 7:02 p.m. We are 5. I'm not saying where. I'm saying 5. The thread found us each other. The satellites kept the lights on. The people who needed to be in the same room are in the same room. That's the story. That has always been the story. Stay alive. KJ. Egg 412, M speech balloon 312, M. At Steven Vox Hotgear, replying to at KJ GROWLING 7:06 p.m. 5. Also the truffle oil made it. Priorities. Egg 9.8 M speech balloon 4.4 M. End of chapter 7. December 7th, day 7. KJ GROWLING's eggs posts, 19. Peak concurrent readers, 412 million. The 3 miles, cost, earned, the ironing board, the yoga mat, the cooking smell, the others didn't knock. The truffle oil, made it. Steven Vox, met, real, exactly right and completely surprising. Mac's assessment of Steven, 2 servings of rice, equivalent of standing ovation. The 5 together, blue door, chocolate digestives. Sarah's notebook, not yet seen, next chapter. The scar, 9 people now. 3 didn't cooperate, moving west, A338. The map stopped, or trying to. Col de reading, always reading. Moving west. Same direction. Same road. 19 days until Christmas. 18 days until Steven's birthday. The thread keeping the lights on. The satellites above. The road ahead. Chapter 8 follows. December 7th continued. Stacy, Sarah, the notebook, in which Sarah Oduya delivers the most important briefing of the outbreak from a university common room, in which Stacy, Harlow is exactly who Birmingham made her, in which the chocolate digestives are consumed with the reverence they deserve, in which Mac and Stacy have a conversation about load-bearing walls that is about more than load-bearing walls, in which the man with the scar appears in the thread a sixth time, and this time someone describes what he did to the 3 people who didn't cooperate.
If you would like to know more about history on a specific person, time or place, or even just fictional creativity like adventure, horror, zombie survival, take a moment and drop us a comment down below for your request, or send us a mail and the team here at Wolfcroft Stories will be glad to mention your preferred name as to the inspiration to the video to the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to know, learn or listen to more like these, why not give us a like and subscribe for more? Wishing you a safe and grand week ahead from the team at Wolfcroft Stories.